Hi, hello, and welcome to Cinema Express. My name is Ram Venkat Srikar. Today we have with us Mr. Siddhartha Nuni with us. He's a filmmaker, cinematographer. He has also been an important part of audience films, which brought Lucia, a film that created a new wave in Kannada cinema. Here we are to talk about his latest work, the Gautam Menon directorial, Vendhu Thanindhathu Kaadu. Hello, Siddharth.
Hi Ram. How are
How
you?
are you? I'm great.
Thank you.
Siddharth, thank you very much for doing this.
You're welcome.
It's been 4 நாள் ஆயிருக்கு படம் ரிலீஸ் ஆகி. I hope you remember the day I called you to for this interview. That was the day when the Thanindhathu Kaadu had released. And படம் ரிலீஸ் ஆகிற ஒரு நாள் முன்னாடி, like the night on the films, on the eve of the film's release, உங்களுக்கு கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு சின்ன ஹார்ட் அட்டாக் மாதிரி ஒன்று நடந்திருக்கு பிஃபோர் த ஃபில்ம்ஸ் ரிலீஸ். ஒரு பேனிக் ஆக வேண்டிய ஒரு விஷயம். வாட் ஹேப்பன்? கேன் யூ வாக் அஸ் த்ரூ that experience, because most of us are not privy to what happened.
So, literally I've been living in the DI studio for about 2 months. VTK was one of the most complicated films to color grade actually, because we wanted to make the film look very like the traditional film. So we did a lot of background work in terms of to convert the digital image into a very organic, natural looking, not natural, but more of like a film look. And we did a lot of experimentation with colorist Balaji Gopal sir, and we finally achieved something that I feel very proud of. And so literally there's something called quality check, which happens before the film's release, and it happens at the Cube projection setup. So all of us, the director, me, and the colorist, and all the
team,
crew,
the post-production,
the post-production team, we all sit together, watch the film before it releases, both for the international release and for the domestic release. After the quality check is done, we okay it, and that's when the film goes
to theaters.
To the theaters. So basically there's 2 steps. Is one, the DI studio is where we're watching on the high quality LED screens, and then after that when that's good, we go to Cube, where we convert the HDR footage to SDR, because most of the theaters have SDR only. In fact, all the theaters, in fact. So that process is it's kind of like a down converting, but trying to maintain the soul of the film and giving the highest quality output. So the QC happened, all went well. On the 14th morning, which is one day before the release, at 6:30 a.m. I finished the QC, and I was very happy, and I was like, okay, now my job is done.
Closure. It's a closure.
It was like, now the film is out of my hand, And then I went back to my hotel, and I slept at like 7 o'clock like a baby. And I woke up at 10. I couldn't sleep after that. Literally, even though I had hardly slept because of the excitement and all of that. And I got a call later in the afternoon that there's a private screening happening. A closed viewing thing. And we were at a theater on ECR. And I don't want to name the theater, but we were in ECR, and we ended up booking like a small screen to watch it. And the movie started, and I didn't understand what was going on. For 15 minutes, I just sat there transfixed. I'm like, something is wrong. This is not what I graded. Literally, I was in a state of shock. And
how did the film look like?
The day shots were looking like night.
So the scene where Shimbu is
walking in the desert, it was like it's like dark, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I was prepared in a way that I know that some theaters the screens will not be good, but I didn't expect like a
contrasting
in
result.
Chennai to look so bad. And Sir came to me, and he's like, Sid, can you do something? And I went to the projection person, and he's like, look, it's looking very dark. What can you do? And he was like, he increased the intensity a little bit. Things got a little better. But still, it wasn't the image that I was,
the desired image.
Graded. And I think I was literally in tears. I mean, I have to say, I was literally in tears, because I was like, I didn't know what was going on. And tomorrow morning is the release. And I was like, did something happen with the during the conversion, because 6:30 a.m. everything looked fine, and why is this happening, and everybody kind of panicked. And we kind of ran to Devi Theatre at 12:30 a.m. after the previous show got over, and watched the film there. It looked good.
Okay.
And then we went to Satyam. It looked better. So it was like things got a little better over the night. And finally, we didn't sleep the whole night. We just went to Vetri Theatre directly to watch the film. And it looked great.
Wonderful. So how was
yeah.
that experience when you watched the film with the audience finally?
I think I was very overwhelmed, honestly, because we worked on this film for about 13 and a half months, and we faced a lot of challenges. Like, I'm sure every film faces its own challenges, but the journey is always, it's not easy. And especially because films, there is no script that, okay, this will happen perfectly. It's not like it's not a regular way of working. We have the weather the weather challenges us. Sometimes a broken bulb challenges us. Sometimes, someone's sick. There's so many challenges on an everyday basis, and you have to handle like some 50 people under you, and make sure that everybody is okay, so, and the travel and the long nights. So all this is part of the filmmaking journey, but this film was a little bit more difficult because of the scale of it, and what we were trying to do. Basically, it wasn't a regular format. We were not following a regular format of shooting. We went very experimental on it. That itself was a challenge, even though we were really enjoying it. We were really enjoying what we were shooting, right? And then when the whole thing got over, all the noise fades away, and then for 2 months in a quiet, dark studio, you're sitting and chiseling away the film, like, chiseling away. And finally, at one point, it's literally, I know what image, which reel, exactly how the film looks. It's like I can tell, even if there is a deviation of even say 5% or even lesser than that, I can tell that's not what the grade was.
It's imprinted in your
It's
memory.
imprinted in my mind, and that's how much effort kind of went into it. And every one of us has gone through the same process. And I'm sure, like, anybody you ask in the crew or cast, they will tell you the same thing, because it's really a transformative journey. And I believe that when you start a film, you come out a different person. It changes you, because the story becomes a part of your, thing. And finally, so for 2 months, I was just literally watching just the images, without the sound, without, anything else. And finally, last 2 days was when slowly the sound started coming, the dialogue started coming here and there, last 1 week or something like that, or 2 weeks. But with the final RR of A.R. Rahman sir, I watched it in all its glory on the big screen. And I'm not a 5 a.m. fan kind of a person. This is my first experience like that. And I was literally quite, emotional when I watched the crowd reaction. And I think the crowd was beautiful. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, கொஞ்சம் பின்னாடி போனா ஃபில்ம் வந்து அனௌன்ஸ் பண்ண செப்டம்பர் 2021 வெந்து தணிந்தது காடு அனௌன்ஸ்மெண்ட். பட் பிஃபோர் தட் திஸ் வாஸ் சப்போஸ் டு பி அ டிஃப்ரெண்ட் ஃபில்ம், நதியில் நீராடும் சூரியன். நீங்க அந்த பிஃபோர் த ஷிஃப்ட் ஆகிறதுக்கு முன்னாடிலேருந்து நீங்க இந்த படத்தில் அசோசியேட் ஆயிருந்தீங்களா?
No. Actually, இந்த படம் வந்து sir called me after the story got shifted.
Okay.
Literally, I was in the project 1 week before. The call came 1 week before they were going for the location rec in Tiruchendur. And my first day with sir was in Tiruchendur on location. And we were literally shooting a week later or something. So
I saw your Instagram story that a day before the film's release, that you said you remember watching Vinay Thande Varuvaya in Satyam on the day of its release, and Acham Yanbadu Madhumayada with your then girlfriend in Pondicherry in 2016. You had shared how had someone told you that you would be a part of this magic, like you had quoted, you would be like up for it. Like it would have been such a great opportunity for you back then, who was a budding cinematographer. What did that first call feel like?
Actually, the first call came to me saying that it's for Queen season 2.
Okay.
That's what I was told. there was some miscommunication,
Okay.
something happened there, and I was told that Queen season 2. I haven't watched Queen season 1. I only watched recently, but I'm also working on Queen season 2,
Okay.
just to tell you. But so I was like, okay, Queen season 1. I knew that it was a web series, and I was like, okay, it will be a great opportunity working with Gautam Menon sir, right? And then I think the next afternoon or something, I got a message saying, no, there's been a mistake. I'm like, okay, this is too good to be true. Like, how can I, it sounds too good. I mean, how is it possible that Gautam Menon sir calls me, right? I'm sure he has a lot of people, like he's worked with great DOPs and all of that. I was a little disheartened, but the next message came saying that it's for a movie.
Wow.
I'm like, movie? What movie? Then I went and looked up on the internet, what is this movie? And and then I read up about Nadigalale Neeradu Suryan, and I read that it's with Simbu and A.R. Rahman, and I was like, this is it. I mean, there is no two ways to it. And then uh, it took 3-4 days for Sir to connect with me, and he called me one afternoon, and he was like, he just asked me, so Siddhartha, tell me about yourself. And I said, I did this work, and I went to Europe to do my master's and all of that. And he was like, so how do you work? I said, sir, when I take up a project, I do a lot of pre-production. It takes 2 months, I work on it. That's the way I function. And he was like, yeah, okay, we're shooting in a week.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was like, what? Like, and I'm like a, method oriented kind of person and all of that. So that was like, okay, I had nothing to say to that. But then he asked me, so, what do you think about, working with me on, in that lines? And I said that, sir, I've watched your films. I've seen your body of work, and that's enough for me to understand where you come from. I think like all of us, like, we've all seen his films, and we understand his grammar. We understand, the stories the way he tells his stories.
The
and
sensibility in it.
the sensibilities more of. And I felt that I was up for the challenge. And the next day I was in Tiruchendur.
Shooting the film.
Doing the Recce. Yeah, I think the next day I left, and the next morning after that was the first day Recce. Yeah.
Super. You were just saying about how the familiarity with Gautam's filmmaking style helped you get into the project so quickly, even though you didn't have much time to think about it, or although you weren't given an elaborate pre-production phase. But then this is probably the least Gautam Menon film, right? So how was that process like? What were some of your ground rules? Because Gautam Menon has been pretty clear that this is not going to be like my film. Like, I'm trying to do something different. What were some of your ground rules like that? Like, did you establish any do's and don'ts when you started filming it?
I think one of the reasons that he chose me for this project is my previous film, Lucia. Lucia is again a coming of age, thriller, if you look at it. And I feel that is the reason why. Because he doesn't know anything about me. And I've tried to send him my, showreel, or, my
Short
recent
films,
work. And
Love
Love
in
in
Neon,
Neon and all these things, which
Evidence,
I've done when I was in Europe, right? During my film school time. And he said, no, don't worry about all that. We'll figure it out. I'm like, okay, fine. Like, and I just went, and I think, I mean, he's the kind of a person who tries to, I feel that he tries, I mean, the way he works is he understands your strengths. He understands your, where you come from, he understands your weaknesses, and I think that's one of the biggest thing for a director, to understand his crew and to understand his cast, because it's not just your abilities, right? It's also your personality.
Right.
It's also about the way you function as an artist, because each person has his or her own quirks, right? The way they function and all of that. So I feel that somewhere he kind of like understood where I come from, and I think that he felt that I would be the right person for this project. And I love character journeys. I that's one of my favorite aspects of filmmaking where I see character transformation and like, when you're following a person's path, a journey. And I think that's what excited me the most about this project, right? About when we started off, we were in Tiruchendur, and I remember this particular time, and I've told them that let's go with anamorphic on this one, primarily because I want to give it a very cinematic,
the
wideish, the cinematic look. And he was like, right away, he said, okay, let's do it. And he was very up for, new things.
Right.
He just, he gives a lot of freedom to his crew, and that really helped. And we started off, I don't know how it came about, but we decided that we will do blocks for Tiruchendur. I think I'd suggest
the first 15 minutes of the film, it's static.
It's completely static. Yeah. And it's like an totally art cinema. Because we knew that post,
the Bombay,
once we go to Bombay, it's all energy. We have to capture the energy of Bombay. But in the village, it's like everything is standstill. Everything is like, quiet and like, so we want to capture it like a very Balu Mahendra-esque kind
of stillness.
I think that's the words that Sir also used. Sir used that Balu Mahendra kind of frames and like, just, I haven't watched Balu Mahendra Sir's work, but I'm just saying that is the kind of style, stylistically. And also I just got back from Europe. So it was like, for me, I was kind of looking at the world in a very static frames kind of a thing. And it's a new thing and nobody does that, right? Generally. I think only recently when I watched Static Frames was in Karnan, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Nice wide shots and everything is happening in wide. I thought that was amazing. So I want to experiment with my imagery. I want to challenge myself because otherwise it's boring, push the gamut kind of a thing. And so I think the do's and don'ts were this primarily. Okay, let's do this for like, Tiruchendur, let's go for static frame. I don't know, we simultaneously said it actually. So I think somewhere with some creative people, you have that instant connect. And I felt that I have that with Gautam sir. Yeah.
Super. இப்போ நீங்கள் சொன்னப்பறம் தான் நான் ரியலைஸே பண்ணுறேன் that if we look at the film, like Tiruchendur portion, the villageல நடக்கிற portionsல, the viewer is an observer. We are just observing what's happening.
Yes, correct.
Bombay போனதுக்கு அப்புறம் viewer is a participant.
Correct.
He is observing things much more closely. And that's partly because of the location also, right? That Esaki Parata Kada, like the film has ரொம்ப கம்மியான locations, minimal locations. Like almost like a predominant part of the first half is set in Esaki Parota Kadai, and you utilize that space beautifully, be it the room where these people are staying, or just before the intermission sequence we almost get a tour of the whole geography of that hotel, right? Were you involved in the set construction? Because your camera movements, they are closely entwined with the physical proximity of that place, right? How closely were you associated with the production design and that?
So by the time I got onto the project, the sets was already was being constructed.
Okay.
It was in the process.
Okay.
And we finished Tiruchendur and I came, and that's when I first visited the location. And I saw that, I think it was just about, the hull was created or something like that. And we made minor changes. Okay. Stairs will be like, all that was already Rajivan sir's design, and I think he did a phenomenal job with it looks like a real place. It doesn't look like a set at all. They've done a lot of background work. They went to Bombay, took samples, images, and recreated this whole street, and I think I brought in my inputs based on colors, what kind of glass should be on the glass panes, what kind of color should be on the glass panes, things like this.
Okay.
Yeah. What kind of wallpaper? Like the barber shop.
Yeah.
It's in the same setup actually. So the wallpaper was chosen, collectively. So all these options, creative decisions were taken. But the hull was kind of like almost ready by the time I came in. Yeah.
Super. So speaking more about utilizing this space, a lot of drama happens in that room in top set. I like a lot. conversation, the whole Malipu song,
Yeah.
a song and dance sequence happens there, an action sequence happens there, and you have these actors, like you have at least 20 people in front of camera. I don't know how many people behind the camera.
Yeah.
Tell me about the sheer physical challenge to be there, to capture the action and to make sure that everything is properly choreographed but not looking choreographed. Your movements had to be quite motivated. Tell me about that process. How much of preparation went into the scenes that were set in that room?
Recently, I was watching an interview of Ravi Varman, sir. And he was talking about how when he enters a space, the first thing he understands is the architecture. I come from the same thought.
Okay.
So when I was there, it was like, I tell, my assistants and all of that as a cinematographer, the first thing that you need to know is architecture. Because obviously the architect has designed it in a certain way. The cinematography is not just about close-ups and mid-shots and glamorous lighting. It's about the world around you. So the world around you has to become a part of your scene. It's called mise en scène, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
French
so
term.
I believe in it. And I come from, the school of filmmaking, if you call it, is very French New Wave.
Okay.
So you can see it in my previous work also, where, I think I'm able to capture the world that they're living in, so that when somebody is sitting there, it looks like he fits in that zone. For me, that's exciting. And whenever I'm shooting in a world, in a space, I'm just emulating what's already there. If I'm going to create my own lighting, I'm going against nature.
Right. You have to utilize what's already there.
That's my thing. That's the way I function, where I try to utilize what is given to me. So if you give me the top room of Parota Kade, that is my world. That is my microcosm. And my characters live with that.
Yeah.
So I'm not just lighting for Simbu's face. I'm not lighting for, say, Appukutti sir's face. I'm lighting for that space.
And they are just a part of the space.
And they fill up that space. They come alive. That's when the world of theirs comes alive. Why are people able to connect to it? Because they feel like those characters are living there. And we're just capturing. Then all I need to do is just move with them.
Yeah.
Right?
Brilliant.
And one of my things is that which came to a great advantage for this film. The single takes were possible because I kind of like create a 360-degree lighting, which means the camera can go anywhere. It gives the freedom for the actors to go anywhere.
Right.
I will not restrict the actor saying that, oh, that's too dark, don't go there. If the character is there, he's dark. That's it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But as he moves, he'll come into light at some point. So it creates a lot of drama as if the characters are living and breathing in that world.
There is no artificiality.
There's no artificiality.
There is no
to it.
That it's like a film. It has no restrictions that this is the frame, the actor has to be here, there has to be a mark here.
Yes.
There's just no
Even Sir is also like that.
Hmm.
He doesn't like it when I give actors marks. The once or twice when I actually give marks, he was like, why are we doing this? It can't be like this.
Wonderful.
So it was a technical challenge for my technicians, the focus puller.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a mark. He just has to get it. So I'm really blessed to have, I'm really thankful that I got these two great technicians. One, Vijay, who's my gimbal operator, Naren, who also did Malipu song, and also my focus puller, Prasadna. And with Simbu, he's like a one-take artist, right? He comes, performs, and goes, right? You have to just capture it. Initially, I was scared, honestly. Thankfully, we got Prasadna eventually. And without rehearsal, he'll get the focus right.
Wow.
I don't know how he did it. I still don't understand. Because to do that, you really had to be, initially we had some hiccups because there's some technical challenges and all of that stuff. But eventually, kind of smoothed it out. And I'm grateful for my technicians.
Superb. What you just said reminded me of a couple of things. One, speaking of the 360-degree lighting, this series called Becoming Elizabeth,
Okay, I haven't
which
watched
is
it.
streaming on Lionsgate Play, I guess. It's based in 1500, 16th century. That period, it's a period piece. So for that, the cinematographers, they had created 360-degree lighting, and that meant that the actors, they always had to be on their toes,
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
frame, you'd never know when the camera will be panning
Yeah.
to them. Same with Natchathiram Nagargirde, which
Uh-huh.
released a couple of weeks back. Even he, the cinematographer Kishore Kumar, he told me that how he would be capturing reactions, as it's a film that has a dozen characters, again, just like in VTK, where there are 20 odd men. They will be talking, a character will be talking, he will eventually, he'll quickly pan to a different actor, capture the reactions. How spontaneous was your set like?
See, for us, one good thing is we had a star.
Hmm.
So primarily, we know we had to, and we were following his character.
Hmm.
We were exploring the world of Muthu through the eyes of Muthu.
Hmm.
So the camera was always, watching what he was watching. So he was a central thing, and that way there were not many surprises, I would say.
Okay.
Like, there were surprises because, for example, the scene where Simbu comes, Pave comes to meet her boss at the
Yeah.
hotel room. Like, Simbu was like, beating that guy, and suddenly the shot was he was supposed to go back, but suddenly he came back again.
Okay.
So we had to be on our toes, of course. We had to be on our toes to, like, I would constantly be like, relaying information to the gimbal operator saying, okay, because he is just watching this, but I'm also watching the frame. I kind of understand the world and because you're so tuned to the lenses, you're so tuned to you're so tuned to the geography, you know where to precisely look.
Hmm.
You know how much of headroom can happen, how much of, yeah. So being Muthu's character being the central world around which the film kind of pivots around. It was a stylistic choice to follow Muthu's character throughout.
Hmm.
There were surprises, but most of it was pretty choreographed. Yeah.
Lovely. Speaking of Malipu song, which is easily one of my favorite things in the film, I love how the camera keeps following the movements. It goes from here to there, it goes out of the room, it goes to the balcony, then it comes back. You have people passing in front of it. How much of it was choreographed? Like, did you guys rehearse it a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
of times?
It was without choreography that couldn't have happened. It's the same with the stunt sequence.
Hmm.
That's what Brinda ma'am, our choreographer.
Yeah.
I was totally in awe of her when I met her. Really, like, because I've seen her name in posters and Maniratnam sir's work and all of that, and I was pretty and I felt really blessed, honestly, to witness this magic, this moment. This song was being created. So I think somewhere we were pushing the gamut. Like, we started the film with like 1 minute takes, 2 minute long shots. Towards it, we became so comfortable that we started in 5 minute scenes. So I think that was possible primarily because we kind of pushed the gamut on the 360-degree lighting and just the gimbal. So we kind of figured that, okay, how much. And I think Sir was also like, I honestly feel he's a master of staging. Like, I've never seen such brilliant staging ever. Like, the 5 minute scene where Kuttibai's character gets killed, right?
Yeah.
That scene, when he said the shot to me, and I'm like, so how? Like,
it goes from room to room.
Yeah. I was quite amazed when Sir conceived the 5 minute shot of Kuttibai's, death. And I was like, how did you even come up with that? I think, and everybody clapped when that scene got canned, and it was such a complicated shot. And so I think it was more like we were all kind of feeding off each other's,
Energy.
creative space. And I think it was a great place to be in. And Malipu is one of my most memorable, shoot experiences. And I was extremely happy because I was very nervous firstly. I'm like, how is this going to happen? Because, you know, shadows are a big challenge, right? That was my biggest challenge for doing 360-degree lighting. So there's always this, so if you observe, I don't know if you have, it's not, for an audience, you wouldn't know, but just before the song starts off, the lighting is actually different compared to when the song starts.
Oh, okay.
So the shot is like this. We see Padman's character holding the phone, telling the wife, sing, no. And then we see Simbu's character in the, you know, in Appukutti and all of that. The light actually comes from the windows, light streaks, because till then it's in an edgy zone.
Right.
But if I continue that light, the camera cannot move 360 degrees. So what we did was, as the camera goes from Padman's character who's sitting there, it faces the characters who are sitting right opposite to Padman, and then the camera pans right.
So
in that time, the windows were closed. One character walks to the bathroom, and he only closes the doors. And then everything becomes very soft.
Wow.
That is how we avoid the shadows. And again, as soon as the song gets done, it goes back to the edgy zone where the cops have come. Right? And by that time, the windows are open again.
Same, the
previous lighting. And the audience doesn't even realize it. So that is how we, as a cinematographer, you come up with, different ways to conceive these mood changes, color changes, it's,
Wow, this is a beautiful technique. I hadn't even noticed.
Oh, it just happened right there. So it wasn't even like, so it was like, oh, there's this shadows. Okay, what do we do? Okay, we have to close the door. Oh, who's going to close the door? Oh, that person is coming to the bathroom.
Wow.
You will close the door. It just happened in a second. So it was like a beautiful taking off picking each other's brains and.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about your rigs? Because there are scenes where the camera goes out of the window, follows them and enters the window again. And this is supposed to be happening on the first floor. And it was shot on a first floor?
Yeah.
Okay. Then how do you manage that where the camera goes out, then comes in? It goes out to the balcony, and I assume it's like 2 steps. Where was your operator, or where were you standing when that was being captured? How did you pull this?
So I have to give complete credit to my stunt choreographer, VTK, and he had conceived this whole thing. And I don't know how that whole coming out of the window thing happened, but I think Simbu needed a break before he continued the fight, kind of a thing. So the camera had to kind of go out at some point. I don't know how this came about, but basically I was there outside.
Okay.
So Lee Whitaker has a rig called the Orion. It's his personal treasure, if you can call it, which is very carefully kept with a cloth on the table. Nobody should touch it. Clean it properly. Made of carbon fiber. It comes in a huge suitcase from the US every time he comes to India. So it's his personal prized possession, and he named it Orion, right? So we mount the camera on the Orion, and so it's his trademark, I think so. So he operates the camera by himself, and so as the camera comes down up the stairs to the window, I took the camera out. It's called a handoff, and he just lets go, and I just catch it.
Wow!
And I'm walking on a ramp outside the window, which has been created by Rajivan sir. So, and I walk across and give it back to him.
Wow! Wow!
So it's all human operated.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Now speaking of, when I was talking to your phone the other day, you called it a night film. Like a lot of the action happens in the night, right? And you were speaking about 360-degree lighting, and when it's a night, the lighting completely changes. How does it change when you're shooting in night? How does your whole process change?
I think I love shooting in the nights because night has so much color in it.
Okay.
I mean, if you walk in the streets, there'll be like this urban sodium, there's this LED whites, there's tube lights, there's warm tube lights, bulbs. So you get to experiment a lot with all of this. Daylight, I kind of like, I like, you know, I like shooting in the nights more. I don't know. I think I'm a more night person. So in my cinematography, I'm just trying to emulate what I see.
Okay.
And one of my favorite cinematographers are Vittorio Storaro and Christopher Doyle, Roger Deakins. So they use color very effectively, especially Vittorio Storaro and Christopher Doyle. So I don't know, I try to use color in order to emulate certain emotion. It's called color theory, right? And if different colors have different significance to the mind, human mind. And deep red would be violence or danger. Pink red would be like love, romance.
Green would be peace,
it could
nature,
be jealousy, it could be life. So if you look at Parota Shop, it's green walls. Somewhere there is life there also. It's not a dead place. These people are all alive. So that we need to use that green. But also they live in a very dark space. So urban sodium from the outside is hitting them whenever they're sleeping. In the scene where Simbu wakes up in the night, the first night when he comes to Parota Shop, he goes to the bathroom and he sees Arunjanai's hands,
cleaning,
blood and all of that. You see the street lights of what is falling into the room. There is no, supposedly there is no, I mean, I have placed lights inside, but you understand that the light is coming, that Bombay is affecting their lives. Bombay is always in the background.
Wow.
So I wanted the audience to experience Bombay through the light.
Wonderful.
And this architecture.
Superb. Now, even you referred to Ravi Varman at one point. At one point, Mr. Ravi Varman, he describes a shot in Barfi where a character is standing and she sees train passing by and you see sunlight.
Yes.
So he's sunlight coming through the train window. He stated that that shot, it came from one of his personal experiences when he was sleeping in a railway station during his early days. And I watched a cinematography, art of cinematography session with you, where you speak how it is very important to, imbibe your personal experiences into the art that you create. Are there any such experiences with VTK where you conceived or crafted a few shots from some personal experiences like these?
I think all art is personal. We're quietly drawn to what we truly are inside.
Right.
If that doesn't evoke something inside you, you cannot do it.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, it's the journey of Muthu. It is a person from a small village who goes to Bombay and Adipatiche, how he's trying to escape, but he's drawn back. So it's that person's journey. I feel that as a cinematographer, I need to empathize with the characters that I'm filming. If that empathy is not there, the film doesn't work.
Right.
So for me, I cannot say specifically this shot or that. I would say it's a journey for myself also.
Right. Yeah.
And the shots are born out of it.
Superb. Lovely. I know it's very hard. I know you're going to have a tough time answering this question. Okay. What's your favorite scene in Vendhu Thanindhathu Kaadu? If you had to pick one.
Actually, I really can't.
Okay, I'll give you a leeway and say 3. You have to answer this. 3 of your favorite shots let's say favorite is a very vague term.
I'll tell you. Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So I really enjoyed, especially when I was grading, I really enjoyed the Unna Nenachudun song.
Another single take.
It's not just that. I mean, I'm talking about the lighting, the space, the close-up of Pavai with the whole, so that could be one. Shooting Radhika ma'am. It was a beautiful experience.
She's a brilliant presence.
Yeah.
Even though parts of second half didn't work for me, those romantic portions, when she was on screen, Like everything was fine.
Yeah, I mean, there were many moments in VTK where, as a cinematographer, you're blessed to see what is being captured first. You're the first person to see that. So I feel that in a way, as an audience, feel very blessed with that. Even Simbu sir's performance, like many times I'm like, how does he do this? Like really, I feel that Jafar also.
Yeah.
He has terrific screen presence. Yeah, Barbershop Plan, the scene where inside, I really enjoyed lighting up. I think I love shooting it confined spaces because I feel that it brings a new perspective because you have no other way but to capture the scene. So you have to like go all out to like, push yourself in order to do it. I really enjoyed filming the Parota shop scenes. The beginning days when I was filming, I was like, wow, this looks great, and yeah, I would say these.
Superb. So 2 observations. The very first time we see Muthu in the Parota shop, we see him through the bars. It's almost like he's entering a prison of sorts. And the Jafar scenes, the psycho, the killer scenes, they are probably the most dynamic scenes in the film. There's a lot of movement. Was that intentional? Like to keep the action?
Like all the action sequences are very like swift that way. Whereas especially the Jafar, one of the biggest challenges was to maintain the height. Get them both in the same frame. So obviously I had to go with a wider lens, So it was a technical challenge.
And the intermission sequence is absolutely bonkers where the follows.
I was very nervous. I was very
shooting
nervous
that intermission sequence.
I was very nervous that
How many takes? I was told that at one point the water didn't come from a pipe, so you had to go for a retake.
A lot of things happened.
Okay. Can you share a couple?
Like for example, we had only a limited number of breakable things.
Okay.
Only 4 or 5. For example, when Simbusa throws out the guy
it had to.
So there were only 4 of them. So if you look at the trailer, the whole thing goes off. In the film, we had to like make sure that the VFX Pareto because obviously the whole thing won't go off. In the trailer, there was no time to teaser. Like first teaser when it came, the whole thing goes off. That's because it didn't get fixed by a second or third take. It was like the glue came off, so it just flew out that guy along with it. Yeah.
Lovely. Obviously, I can't. This is my last question. Like, I can't finish the interview without asking this. What about Vendhu Thanindhathu Kaadu 2? What's happening? Like,
actually, I was quite it's been a long journey of VTK 1. And I feel that I need to take like a month off first. And the discussion is on, obviously. And there is ideas being discussed between Jayamon sir and Gautam sir. And whenever it happens, I'm sure it will be a beautiful thing.
Super. Last question.
Yes.
Since the film teases the sequel and those last 5 minutes where we see a lot happening, like we see what's happening after 5 years, was there a particular script or Bible for that? Were you given any, like, because it's short and it is edited in a way that you don't get an idea of what exactly has transpired, right? It's like flashes of memory. Like we see Simbu holding on to that kid and crying. He's going to Lucknow. We don't get the whole picture what's happening. So how did you shoot those scenes?
We actually shot everything.
You had a whole sequence.
We had a template, right? But it was put together as a trailer.
Right.
So the last 2 minutes or 3 minutes was supposed to be a trailer for the second part. Obviously, giving away everything would have been...
So you have a proper 10 to 15 minute...
Yeah, there.
Oh, okay. Superb. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for sitting through everything. Had a pleasure talking to you. I loved Vendhu Thanindhathu Kaadu and the visual experience it was. All the best for everything that you have on your plate. And obviously, I'm looking forward to Vendhu Thanindhathu 2 as well. Thank you, Siddhartha.
Thank you very much.